All right, guys, welcome back. So this is Mr. Moscato again. Today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how to add the bead of material around the inside of the cap. So if you remember from the water bottle, when we finished it up, what we did was we put a bead of material around the top of the neck of the bottle. The reason why we do that is that we're going to create a compression fitting between the cap and the bottle, right? So the way a compression fitting works is, you take basically two things and you kind of squeeze one on top of the other, and they'll pop together. All right. Usually, the material distorts a little bit. Um, the, um, the 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 beads of material then kind of act as that mechanism to prevent the cap from popping off, right, or the top from popping off. Okay, very similar to a like a bottle that has a cap on it. All right, a glass bottle that has a metal cap on it. All right, it's the same kind of compression setting there, right? So you need a bottle opener to get that cap off. Okay, the other kind of the other standard kind of fitting that we're not going to do, maybe later on in the course we'll come back and revisit it, is some kind of a screw cap. Where you screw the cap down onto the bottle. All right, so we're going to add that bead of material here to this bottle. All right, so the first challenge that we are presented with is that when we sketch, we are going to be working on this inner surface here. All right, but when we will set up our two-dimensional view, we're not going to be able to see inside of that surface. All right, so Creo has a couple of view features. All right, so if you go up to the top of your display, your three-dimensional display, you'll see this box, and it says Display Style. All right, if you click on that button, all right, what you'll see is um, different ways of looking at our three-dimensional renderings, right? So our standard, our default is shading with reflection. All right. Then we can also look at shading with edges. All right. So the edges are kind of highlighted in black there. All right. Just shading. Okay. And then here's when we get into something called wireframes. All right. So wireframes, you can have three different views. All right. So in other words, we don't really see the surfaces. We just see the lines that make up the surfaces. So the first one is a wireframe, but we don't see the internal geometry. All right, the second is a wireframe where the inside geometry, the inside lines, are shaded a different color. All right, so black versus gray for the inside. And then the last one is just a straight wireframe where both the internal and external lines are the same color. All right. The one that I like for this example is the hidden line one. All right, so we're going to select that. So when we take a look at our cap, right, we can pretty much tell where the external geometry is. All right, so that's the black lines, and then the gray lines are on the inside. All right. What we are going to do is we are going to create this sketch. All right, so our sketch is a semicircle of radius 1.5. I know it's a radius because it's a single arrow pointing at the arc. And then the top of the arc is 7 above the x-axis. All right, so it's a very relatively simple sketch. This is a closed sketch, all right, and it is a revolve. All right, so I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to create a revolve. I'm going to place my sketch, all right, on the front plane here. And it doesn't matter whether you place it on the front plane or on the right plane. They're both, functionally the same. Actually, I just added it to the right plane. All right, so it doesn't really matter as long as we have this view. Okay, so I'm going to select one of the sides. I guess I'll do it over on the left-hand side here. I'm going to zoom in here. First thing I need to know is I need to know exactly where this line is. So we're going to add a reference, all right, to this silhouette, all right, of that internal geometry. So I'm going to go to the reference tools, click on that. I'm going to select that internal line. You see it kind of lights up in gray. I get the little pop-up that says silhouette. Okay, and it's hard to see, but it has been marked. All right, there are these very light blue dashed lines running down that silhouette. And I can also look up here in my reference box and see that I've added that reference. All right, so I can go ahead and close that at this point. All right, and now I'm ready to draw. The tool that I want for this is the center and ends tool. All right, so remember that we have some sketching tools up here in the dashboard that are shown to us, but then there are all the tools are down underneath the More option here. So I'm going to click on More, and I'm going to go to the Arc section, and I want to select the Center and Ends tool. All right, so basically the way the Center and Ends tool works is we're going to select the center of the proposed arc. All right, if it was a circle, where is the center of that circle? And then we pick the beginning and the end points. All right, so I'm going to select the Center and Ends tool. The way that works is I'm dragging around, just like the circle tool, I'm dragging around the proposed center. I want to place that proposed center anywhere on this reference, all right, on that internal line, on that silhouette, anywhere except where it says M, all right? I do not want a midpoint constraint on this. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to left-click to set. I'm going to drag the first point up, all right, along the reference. I'm going to left click and release, and then I'm going to drag outwards and around until I get back to that vertical reference. Okay, I'm going to set my semicircle. I'm going to center click to deselect the tool. It's asking me for a radius measurement. All right, again, this is a radius measurement because it's pointing to the arc with one arrow. It's not two arrows. Okay, that's going to be 1.5. Okay. And then the other dimension that I have to worry about is the top of the arc. All right, so the sketch is telling me that the top of the arc is 7 away from the x-axis. The measurement, the dimension that I have, is from the center of the arc. Okay, so I want to use the normal tool there. I'm going to select the point. This time we're going to select the point, all right, that creates the top of the arc. I'm going to go down to the x-axis. Anywhere on the x-axis is fine. Left click again, and then center click between those 2 points. There it is. All right, and then it's going to ask me for the dimension, 7. All right, hit enter. And we have our semicircle built. The last bit of this is I want to close this sketch. All right, so I'm going to use the line tool, and I'm simply going to connect the dots between the top and bottom of the arc. All right, so we get an enclosed arc semicircle there. All right. The one thing that we did not do is we did not set a center line yet. So we're going to go ahead and do that, the axis of revolution. All right, so go over to your datum, select the center line, and the center line is going to be the center of the cap, right? So this is basically, one of the reasons why we've been designing this cap the way that we have. All right, so that we have this this y-axis, right in the middle. So I'm going to click on that y-axis. I'm going to make sure that I am vertical, parallel to the y-axis, and set that. Okay. When I deselect the tool, if I mouse over, it should tell me that I have an axis of revolution, which I do, which means that I'm ready to revolve. I'm going to go ahead and green check mark this guy. Okay. The value is 360. All right, I want to see what I have so far. Remember that we're in wireframe view. All right, so it may not look right. Okay, but once we green check mark it, we can go back and set the view back to our shading with reflections or whichever shading area model you want. All right, you can see here that we have this view. Actually, I don't want the shading with reflection. I like shading with just shading or shading with edges. There we go. All right. So as I roll this thing over, you can see that bead of material that we added there. All right, that looks good. Okay. Go ahead and save your part. All right, and then in the next part of the video, we will take a look at how to add the nubs to the outside of the cap to finish off the cap. All right, so that's where we're at, and we'll see you in the next video.